Hello, everyone. Welcome to Finding the Inner Strength podcast with myself, Cheryl, the Crack Yogi. Welcome to episode 11. And for today, it's going to be a little check in and with you guys, with allowing you to know where I am physically and mentally. And as we know, I started this podcast to kind of share my journey of health and wellness. And it was funny because I am, even though I'm a yoga instructor educator, it's when you're doing something like teaching people, you kind of put yourself to the wayside and don't fully focus in on yourself. And for myself and my husband, we have been on the go, I would say, for the last almost 2 years. We're almost to 2 years where it would be July when we moved into our RV, our fifth wheel, and wanted to give the nomadic life a try. And there is a little bit of like you're a little stuck on that to a point as a Canadian traveling around, because even if we traveled within Canada, if we weren't in our province for a certain amount of time, we could lose our health insurance, which is kind of funny considering Canada is one country. But that, I think I voiced that before in an episode, that just doesn't make sense. But we'll tap into that some other time. So yeah, within the last, July 2023, we moved out of our house in Cochrane, Alberta, into our 37-foot fifth wheel. And when you think of the time before July 2024, probably more around May is when we decided to sell the house. So even before it went on the market, let's get in the house ready, house sells, purge as much as possible, move into the fifth wheel, and then we were on the road by October. And within that time, I was also teaching yoga in Cochrane. And then also my husband and I loved to hike. We loved to paddleboard. We didn't do as much paddling that summer because we were so focused on selling the house, but we got a little bit of hiking in before we hit the road. So with our two dogs at the time, it was Teague and Gracie. And it was just such a whole new thing, driving. And I'll admit he does all the driving. The both of us are not ready well, I'm actually ready. I really want to drive this with this thing hooked to our truck. I don't know if he's mentally there yet. So, and that's not like saying, it's just more of we're in a lot of busy areas, and just for our own health and focus, it makes sense for me to be learning to pull this thing where it's quiet. And it'll come. I know it will. So reverse there for a bit. So we hit the road and traveled within Montana, Idaho, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, back a little taste of like a corner west of Texas, back through New Mexico, Arizona, over to Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington, BC, and then back to Alberta in April 2024. And we are so blessed because we have friends that basically allowed us to have our permanent residence in Alberta on, basically we rent a space from them on their lot. And that's our home. And so last summer was helping on the farm, gardening, teaching yoga about 5 to 6 times a week. Then also going to BC to do some tandem and skydiving. Then our rig had to go in for some work, and we were kind of homeless for a month. So we were between Edmonton to see our son. And then we did a little quick trip to Yellowknife, then came back, got our rig. October 2024, we hit the road and make our way to British Columbia. And we weren't sure if we were going to stay on Vancouver Island for the whole winter this year, 24-25. But then we decided to head down back to Arizona. A friend watching our lovely Gracie, our other dog Teague, passed away last January, so January 2024. And then we flew to the Netherlands, to be with our awesome friends for their wedding for 2 weeks. The wedding wasn't 2 weeks, but we spent 2 weeks there and had a fantastic time. Flew back to Arizona, flew to Alberta for Christmas, and then flew back to Arizona, spent a month in Arizona, and now we are in California. It's a lot of traveling, and we were so blessed to be able to do it. But what happens is you get into this routine of non-routine. I don't know if that makes sense. You kind of put yourself on the wayside. I was very focused on just day-to-day things, wasn't really doing anything physically for myself. Also within that time, my body was deteriorating. It felt like it. Just constant lower back pain, neck pain, and So last summer, 2024, I had x-rays done, ultrasound, and that's when it came out that I had a lot of things going on in my spine. So before I found out about that, it was weighing hard on me mentally, the pain I was in daily, waking up daily, and just trying to figure it out, because I love being active. I love hiking. I love running. I love paddleboarding. I love walking. I love working out. I've always been an active person the majority of my adult life. And when I was younger, I played some basketball, worked out, went to the gym with my parents. I've never been one to not move over a period of time. So, but now I have this chronic pain in my lower back, and we thought at first, a chiropractor of mine, we were thinking that it was being caused by diastasis recti, which, it was. I have a little bit of diastasis recti because I had my doctor investigate it, and that's when everything was coming out with my spine. The tests that we did, and it's hard at 45 to hear that you have facet joint arthritis, retrolithiasis, I have degenerative disc disease. There's another form of arthritis I have more in my neck that links to hydration or dehydration. And I also have a slipping rib syndrome. That's their hypothesis on my ribs. I think it might be, it's hard to say. It comes and goes. So I haven't really fully investigated that, but my back has been the bearer of heaviness on me having a fear to be active. And I would literally go teach my classes while we were in Alberta and just pray that I was able to walk afterwards, be comfortably. I would be gardening on the farm because I loved garden, and it would last not even 10-15 minutes and I'd be in severe pain. So I also had a partial tear in my supraspinatus muscle on my left shoulder. That happened in Yellowknife. So even before we moved to Cochrane in 2021, I was having severe pain in my neck, or not my neck, my shoulder. And it was just one thing after another, and not realizing I was fearful to do things because I was always in pain. But then, like I said, I got the diagnosis, and up on I would still try to run, do some yoga, somatics, and but still fear of other movements, like weight training. What else? Isometrics, and I gave up on running for a little bit because I just was so tired of being sore the next day. Um, so it was funny, like Ken and I he was starting to Ken's my husband, getting into a routine. Like he was more in a routine of going to the gym when we made it to BC in October. There was a couple of gyms close by, and I just mentally just wasn't there. I was doing my daily walks with my dog, with Gracie down at the beach, and doing yoga, more somatics, more gentle stuff. I still would try to flow, but my back with the constant forward bends just did not like it. It was funny. In December, I was like, I've had enough. Like, I'm done living in a mental state of fear, which is putting fear and stress on my body physically, and not working this out or figuring out. And I know every time I go for hikes and walks, I feel amazing, absolutely amazing. And that's one thing with arthritis. If you have arthritis, you understand the discomfort that comes with it. It's funny because I never thought it would feel like it does. And it's debilitating. It really is. And it's almost like when I was pregnant with my first child, and my mom telling me, I remember this, she's like, what did she say? She's like, oh, I don't know how to, she's like telling me about like pregnancy and going into labor. Cause I like to know what things feel like, just to have a heads up what to expect. I forget what my mom said, but she said, I think it's like period cramps. Like there wasn't like, you'll know when it happens. Well, I can tell you, it's like having the biggest poop ever. After I had my son, I'm like, that's what I tell people. It's the biggest period cramps ever. And I had bad periods when I was menstruating, like up until my early 30s. And yeah, it was like the biggest poop ever. And like, that's when I had friends after that, when they were pregnant and they'd ask me, I'm like, this is what it is. Like, it's an intense poo. And it was the worst period cramps ever. That's exactly the contractions. That's what it feels like. So if you were someone that didn't have bad periods, then you didn't fully understand what it felt like. Anyways, so that's why I wish someone had explained to me or I wish there was more information on, of understanding arthritis. And I haven't fully researched it yet. I just kind of, when I got the information, I was like, oh, okay, I would never have thought this is what it feels like. And I'm still trying to figure out how to describe it. If you have a way of describing it, please put it in the comments. And because for me, it is pain, and maybe intense, like an intense muscular pain around the joints, but then the muscles off of those areas hurt too, because they're being compressed, or like they're tight because of the tightness and inflammation in the joints. I guess, yeah, I haven't found a way of describing it yet. Really haven't. So all I can say is when it's inflamed and it's intense, it can be very debilitating. So, by December, I was like, this is BS. Like, honestly, like I'm very thankful. I'm a personality that, and just the growth of myself, like discovering myself the last, like, say 10 years, and learning about my body, learning about my mental health, going to a therapist. But even for that, I've always been one, when I am met with a roadblock, financially, economically, work, physically, mentally, I always get to a point where I'm like, stop being a sorry poor me, or feeling sorry for myself, and do something about it. I am very proud of myself that I am able to get to a point, if I'm, you have a little dip in your moods crash, physically you crash, and I'm just able at a point to say, stop it. This is not who you are. You are stronger than this, and push forward. So December, I was like, this is ridiculous. I am done, because actually, yeah, with flying to the Netherlands, and also dancing my butt off and wearing heels at the wedding. The day after the wedding, my back locked up, and it was just so discouraging, because I didn't want everyone else to feel like they had to cater to me. I'm a little bit proud. The only person I don't mind catering to me is Ken, my husband, because we help each other out. That's what we do. So we both decided, especially before even going to Edmonton for Christmas, that, well, I guess I decided, and it kind of motivated Ken too, I'm creating a program. I'm putting it up on the wall. So I literally went on Canva, set up a program for January. And when I have something typed out or printed and on a wall, and I have a visual, for me, that is huge. Like, I am motivated. I see it. I don't put a check mark by what I do. I highlight it, because I love color, and I'm just so proud of myself that I've accomplished something. So, because as humans, we are so hard on ourselves when we don't get our to-do list done. And sometimes our to-do list is too big. And I made sure that my January to-do list on my mental and physical health was not crazy and over the top. So what I did for January, actually starting January 2nd, because we had a nice little New Year's dinner with my mom and dad, because we had just gotten to their RV resort where they're staying. And I had made a pact that I would basically lessen and have no alcohol for January. So starting January 2nd is when I basically cut out the alcohol, because it's really easy. I'm going to be honest. If it's in the fridge or it's in the rig, it's very easy to have that glass of wine or have a gin and tonic, or maybe there's some really good rum. And I don't like beer, so that one's easy. So when Ken has beer in the fridge, it doesn't even bother me. But yeah, and alcohol, of course, is linked to inflammation, arthritis, inflammation. So I was like, no, I'm not touching it. So what my daily routine for January was, for 28 days. So one was on my YouTube channel, which is Yoga and Small Spaces with the Crack Yogi. I did a 28-day somatic journey, because I already have my level 1 with Gentle Somatic Yoga created by James Knight. It's linked to Hannah Somatics. And I was done all my work with the level 2, and this just gave me an incentive to do a test on myself for 28 days, practicing somatics every day, 2 poses or 1 breath work and 1 pose or flow every day. And just to see how it helped with me physically, but also mentally. It was absolutely fantastic. I recommend you look at my series on YouTube. It was amazing. And you can even research Gentle Somatic Yoga with James Knight, the creator of Gentle Somatic Yoga. And it was a game changer on my even diving deeper into my knowledge of how my body was operating, when I was feeling stuck, where were the sensations coming from. I also had for January 1 hour a day. So the somatics was me more work-wise to work on my body and put it out there for everyone to see. It kept me accountable to getting my level 2 almost done, which I am actually almost there. I just have to submit a teaching video for my level 2. And then also I would do an hour of yoga, like my own practice in the morning, yoga. And the hour consisted of yoga, meditation, and breath work. And sometimes I would put a somatic in there. Sometimes it would be a flow. Sometimes it would be a yin. And I would actually go with how my body was feeling. I would work on myself individually. Then I found out about this program called Foundation Training. And it was created by Dr. Eric Goodman. And I had heard him on another podcast, another gentleman I follow, Dr. Perry Nickerson. Nickerson, I'm probably saying it wrong right now, but Dr. Perry owns Stop Chasing Pain. Highly recommend his YouTube channel, podcast, website. And I learned about that from my old massage therapist, osteopath up in Yellowknife. And I saw her link it one day on one of her social media platforms. And so I looked into it, and I won't go into that, but it's a game changer. So anyways, Dr. Eric Goodman was on Dr. Perry's podcast. I was really intrigued on this foundation training. And so I went and researched it, found the website, found the program, and I start implementing that in January. And wow, it's honestly kind of ties into when it comes to physical knowledge and mental awareness on a somatic level, but it's not somatics. So I would do that daily. Then I would also have a cardio, I think I would go 2 days cardio, day off, 2 days cardio. And I actually did go to the gym at the resort we were at, and, went on the treadmill to run, did the elliptical, did the bike. I was so bored, like so bored. And I was like, I just want to run or hike. I just love running. So I start running again, 2-in-1s, run 2, walk 1. And that's where I started in January. I'm taking it slow. If I had a day afterwards where I was super uncomfortable, I would take a couple of days off of running. But I find it better on my body to run outside than on a treadmill. And that was my January. For the 28 days, focused on myself. And Ken, he had his program, and he's doing really well with it in January. Moving to February, I was like, okay, I need to now, I'm kind of got a basis of the foundation training. What I love about it is it's got a portion in there. I'm not going to dive deep into this right now, but protocols for pain. So that's actually more with what I've been focusing on, because I have neck pain and lower back pain that I need to know that I'm moving my body in the proper way. So that's where my focus was on. It still was for February. And in February, I switched it up, printed off a whole other program, because I wanted to start implementing leg training, weight training, and like strength training. I knew I wasn't 100% sure how that was going to look. At first, I knew that if I went into the gym, I still had that little anxious feeling inside that I didn't want to push too hard, even though I knew my body could do it years ago. I didn't want to go to a point where I was laid up for a week or whatever. So I started with resistance bands, and I researched arthritis, leg exercises for lower back, and I came up with information on that. And also with my knowledge with being a yoga educator, just took everything of my knowledge, what I was getting. And so I decided to start with resistance bands, and I was doing leg press with the resistance bands, knee raises, side and back leg extensions. And it was feeling really good. And I did a couple of weeks of that. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll go to the gym where we are now in California. And because Ken had told me they is a nice setup. And they had leg press, leg extensions, things like that, like the machines. And I haven't used those machines since my young 30s is when I think the last time I did a leg press, leg extension, leg curls, any of those with a machine. And so I went on the leg press, kept like first no weight, just like pushing it, then put maybe 1 or 2 plates on, and my lower back was like, I'm not too sure. Finished 3 sets of those. I was doing 10 reps. And then I went over to the leg extension, leg curls and leg extension. And I knew within the first set that this was a no-go. My back completely seized up. Like I was like, this is not good at all. Ken just happened to be working out in the gym, and I was like, this was not a good choice. So I'm going to go back to our home and figure this out. So I came back, did a nice somatic flow, beautiful release in my lower back. It didn't cure the discomfort pain from what I caused from pressing weight and curling weight. But it eased the sensation. But what I liked about it, I wasn't frustrated with myself. I was like, okay, no weight. This is what it is. It's just resistance bands. And that's absolutely okay. And really, with arthritis, they do tend to say no heavy weight. No, like, so you're not putting the strain into the joint. But we still have to build muscle, right? Like we have to keep the body healthy. I just know not to go heavy, or what is the purpose of my physical exercise? Like, why am I doing this? One is to feel great. One is to stay on top of this arthritis so it's not going to completely debilitate me. So then what I was doing on top of legs, so I would do 2-day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday was resistance bands. Tuesday, Saturday was running, and I was up to 3-in-1s and 4-in-1s. So I must have went 2-in-1s and 3-in-1s in January. Then February was 3s, and then I went to 4. So 2 weeks 3s, 2 weeks 4s, and also the foundation training. And I was feeling really good. Like I just like, this is amazing. I'm being mindful. I don't feel that I'm not accomplishing anything, because if I looked back when I was younger, I did a little bit of CrossFit. I went to the gym pressing weights, like ran, I did yoga, I did like cardio classes, like, you know, I just had a whole array of stuff that my body was capable of doing years ago. So now here I am. And on top of that, in January and February, so February, I might have had 3 or 4 days, maybe 5, where I had a beverage. So I noticed by February, I'm like, nah, even white wine, I get a migraine. So I was like, nah. And I had a few like canned drinks, which are probably full of sugar, but one's so yummy. It's what's it called? But it was lime Ritas. Oh, deadly. Just so you know, like deadly delicious. I do have a sweet tooth and had that a couple of times. Not going to go near them again because they come in a 24-ounce can just up the road here, and 24 ounces for Cheryl. Cheryl's done for the rest of the day. Anyways, so on top of all these awesome physical things I was doing myself, plus the breath work, meditation, I was also doing yin videos for my business. Then daily dog walks with Gracie and going on the trails, walking around the RV park we're at. And when I'm saying daily, like we're doing at least 30 to 40 minutes at a time, sometimes an hour. There's beautiful trails where we're at, and she's in heaven. And the walking in the morning is the best way I can get going for the rest of the day. Someday I am going to take a video of me waking up so you can see how it's not very easy for me to get out of bed just with how my back is. And when I get my morning walk in with Gracie, it's a game changer every day. So for March, February's done. Here's March. It's actually March 5th. I'm a little bit behind getting this podcast out. It's usually out by now, like at midnight on a Wednesday. But I was like, okay, I worked on legs last month and I want to build on that. I want to be very kind to what I'm doing for my upper body. I need to start building strength for my upper body also. So what I love is I have a great setup in available with the rig that I brought on our travels. And so I have this Milo Fit, which I have training with when I worked with Tim and V with Spartan Mind and Strength Yoga years ago, did quite a bit of training with them. And this is one of the programs I trained with them on. And it's literally, they have more of these now, but they came up with probably one of the first prototypes of this. It's about 2 feet long, I would say, just over 2 feet long. And it's round and it's a cylinder. And it's the same material as a SUP board, stand-up paddle board. And it has the same nozzle as a SUP board. What you do is you add water into it for weight, and then you inflate it. And it has handles on 2 sides, handles either that you can grab as if your hands where the palms are forward or backwards towards the thighs, or palms are inward. So you have a different work of the arms. And this thing is phenomenal because when you put the water in there, it adds weight. I'm being very mindful how much weight I put into it because I also want to make sure I'm not straining my neck, straining my shoulders, and knowing how to safely move. And what you do is you do lunging, you do squatting, you can do push-ups, you can do moves actually on a SUP board, which I haven't, there's nowhere around here right now. I'm very close to the Salton Sea, not putting my SUP board into the Salton Sea. If you're not sure about the Salton Sea, look it up. You'll know what I mean. And it's been week 1 of this. And man, the other day I work with resistance bands and the Milo Fit for my leg days. And then I have a run day. I'm up to 5-in-1s. And then I also have an arm day, and I use my resistant bands I have Hitch It. I attach them to the back of our truck hitch, and I can work on my upper body with the resistance bands. I have 3 different levels of resistance bands with handles, and I've only had 1 arm day so far, but man, it is absolutely awesome that I have all this stuff to do with me right at my rig. I'm also adding, I still have my half an hour of yoga daily with breath work. Still doing the foundation training. And I should say the foundation training takes between 6 to 18 minutes a session. This month for foundation, I do 3 days foundation, 2 days off from foundation. So then I'm just giving my body time. Then there's like yesterday, all I had was yoga, and the other thing I'm working on is lymphatic drainage massage, which I got the information from Stop Chasing Pain, and I'm implementing that for the month to see how I feel after the 28 days. But if you haven't worked on your lymphatic system, I'm not going to go into it now. Highly, 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 highly recommend working on lymphatics. Highly recommend it. It's becoming more and more popular, and I should be not popular like a fad, scientifically proven that is probably one of the most important systems in your body to allow your body to function healthy and properly. So with all this work the last 2 months and week, I am feeling physically strong, as in, don't get me wrong, still have lower back issues and neck issues, but it's slowly easing, gradually easing, and I have more mobility because of this. I feel physically younger because of that compared to the last few years. I'm mentally sharper, which is no surprise, but I'm motivated for my business, and I haven't had that motivation in a long time. And with being on the road, being nomadic, it is hard to run a business. And being 6 months in the States, it really does it hindered me because of my confidence on pushing my business while I'm away from home and not physically with people. So I'm still not making, I don't make an income when I'm down here just because I'm getting everything rolling online. But I am so motivated, and I've been wanting to create a course, like my own training program, education program, yoga program for teachers and students. And I've started it, and soon there will be an online options. There's going to be in-person programs around Cochrane, Alberta in May. And I just feel mentally and physically stronger and confident and happy. And there's no way of, actually, there's a way of describing it. It's you feel lighter, and, or I should say, I feel lighter. And when you take those roadblocks out, like I said at the beginning, I have that personality to say, be like, okay, stop. Oh, poor, sorry me, and move forward. I know for some people that is hard and almost feels not possible. And I want to let you know it is possible. You are worth fighting for. You were created, you were given this life, and you can push through the heaviness and moving forward. For some of us, it's easier. For others, you need that help to push forward. And I guess I get to a point where the poor, sorry me is an excuse. That's me though. I don't want to blame things. I don't like labeling for myself. I'm an anxious person. No, I'm not an anxious person. Anxiety comes into play sometimes, but I'm able to talk about it with my husband and push through it. It doesn't identify who I am. It does not label me. I have had moments of heaviness and depressed moments. I personally have not been diagnosed with depression, but I know I probably was around there, especially when we lived in Yellowknife. And I know for some, it is hard to push through it and understand what's going on. But you are worth it. And I think when we put labels on ourselves, it actually stops us from living life and pushing through those stresses. And I'm not the only one to say that. It is scientifically proven. It is something that if you have that help to push through, even if it's medication, there's like everyone functions differently and works differently, but just know that you are worth every moment, every breath, and to enjoy life. And for me, being in chronic pain daily, was not and am not going to allow that to label me or stop me from enjoying my life with my husband, being able to see my adult children, hanging out with our awesome dog Gracie, being able to have time with friends, making new friends, being outside. It's important for me to share that with you because like it's just, yeah, I don't, when Cheryl's out of words. So anyways, but I wanted to let you know that this motivating factor has happened for me for the last 2 months and going into month 3. And it is possible for all of you, for all of us to move forward. And my pain might not be on the same scale as other people. I know that. I am very blessed that I'm not so debilitated that I can't move. But I know for myself, I'm not going to allow this to stop me from enjoying life and what I'm learning and what I'm educating people on and wanting to share. To me is so important because there's a lot of heaviness not just with our physical beings and mental beings, but in the world right now that can even add on top of that. So there you go. Please comment, please subscribe, please share, please like, whatever. I was so excited to do this podcast today. We're just over 40 minutes. That's crazy. I think this is my longest one. I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day, amazing week, fantastic month. Please be kind to yourself physically and mentally. Be kind to others. Kindness goes a long way. And until next time, signing out. See you, everyone.